What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Importance Flashback Reviews, where I take movies from the past, break them down, and tell you what I think about them. If you like what you see, of course hit the subscribe button, join Movie Appointment, hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and as always, comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. So, as you can tell, I'm sick. I do apologize. It's just that time of year for me. I get a little bit down, but that's this type of movie that Fight Club is about down and satire and all that good stuff. So I apologize, but we'll go ahead and talk about Fight Club, which is officially 20 years old. Pretty crazy. We're hitting all the 20-year-old marks in the 1990s. It's a crazy thing to think about. You have Star Wars and Sixth Sense and now Fight Club. And it's a movie that is not only dealing with male masculinity, which is very prescient today. This movie is ahead of its time if you think about it, but is dealing with it in a satirical nature, which is pretty crazy because David Fincher, who's known for doing male masculine movies like, Seven or Alien 3 at the time, this is almost like his manifesto for the male population about how the things you could do could be toxic if you follow a leader that is very machismo. It becomes a problem, and that's what I love about this movie. This movie is so underrated that it is gained a cult following, which is kind of ironic because this movie is all about cults. And so we have Edward Norton, who plays technically the narrator. He's not really given a name, even though he says, I am Jax, blah, blah, blah. And he basically has insomnia. He can't sleep. He goes through day to day, just in a sight of despair. And you see the bags under his eyes. And one day he finds support groups, if you will. And they're all kinds of pancreatic cancer or just cancer in general or bowel disease or smokers, cancer from smoking, just that type of thing. There's all kinds of crazy things that he goes to, and he finds himself being able to sleep again. He's able to relax and de-stress, and it's really kind of disturbing if you think about it. He's going to these places where these people are dying, and he's found some way to de-stress himself. And along the way, he meets this character played by Helena Bonham Carter, who plays Marla. And Marla is I think she looks like she's a drug user. She lives on the poor. She has no money. She lives in a halfway house, and she is a free spirit. She goes to these things as well. It's really funny because there's one about testicular cancer, which she goes to, which she's and how they go back and forth with that, the jokes she makes about it. It's really kind of clever and really kind of written well. But this movie hinges on you believing that this character played by Edward Norton is having problems, is trying to figure out ways through his problems, and he meets the character played by Meatloaf, who plays Bob. And Bob is a integral character to the story of this movie itself, and this is Meatloaf at his finest. Meatloaf is amazing in this movie. He's perfectly fit. He has very overweight, not perfectly fit, is good looking but overweight, and he kind of develops a bond with Edward Norton's character, and in the process they see each other, and his story kind of disappears for a little while. Well, we learn more about Edward Norton's story, his character, about how he flies for this insurance company. It's another movie about insurance, which is kind of funny because I did one on the laundromat. And he goes from town to town. It bores him. He calls it single serving people because he's by himself and he has little single serving items. And on this plane that he's going after this big incident, he meets this character named Tyler Durden, who is of course played by Brad Pitt fantastically. This is one of Brad Pitt's best roles. And they start to form a bond. And Brad Pitt is the freewheeling experience of what Edward Norton's character really wants. Edward Norton is very, repressed and sad and, all kinds of things. And they start what is known as a fight club. And as we know, you can't talk about Fight Club. Well, I'm going to talk about it anyways. It's a male boxing, underground insanity. It's people fighting each other with bare knuckle and bare fist. And they become celebrities in this underground ring of destruction and mayhem. And as the movie moves along, things start to go out of hand. They start causing chaos. You have Jared Leto, who plays Angel Face. You have Meatloaf, who's playing Bob. And a bunch of other people are starting to do really bad things. And the movie is basically about how greedy corporate America really is and how satirical it is, where we are so influenced by, Planet or Starbucks or McDonald's or any of these things. And it's a movie about letting go, about not having it consume you, I guess you could say. And as these things go, as more destruction happens, everything gets out of hand, and Edward Norton is getting more and more unhinged as these things are going along. And it's a very interesting movie. It's an interesting take that what Chuck Palahniuk and David Fincher were doing here. But I love this movie to death because not only does we have the twist ending, which is amazing and one of the best twist endings of any movie I've ever seen, but the fact that we are getting two actors who are playing off each other so well, like Edward Norton and Brad Pitt. It's a movie that just inherits the chaos that this movie is trying to, tell you about, the satirize. And when you see them start making soap from fat ladies fat, and you start seeing them like shaving their heads and shaving space monkeys. If you ever read like the news clip articles in this movie, they're amazing because they kidnap a bunch of monkeys and shave them because there's a big running joke about space monkeys. But like I said, the cult begins small and it grows to a nationwide epidemic. And as the story plays out, as Edward Norton starts to realize what's really going on, there's nothing he can do about it because it's out of his hands. He goes and tries to convince the sergeant who's been talking to him because earlier in the film, Edward Norton's apartment gets blown up. As we learn later on, is because Edward Norton blew up his apartment. And the detective knows this. He's using him as a conduit to find out what's going on. He's probably heard about these fight clubs. And the point you notice where Edward Norton's it's gone out of his hands, gone out of Tyler Durden's hands, is when they tried to do a vasectomy on him, which is really messed up. So, it's that kind of stuff that really kind of satirizes what male dominancy and just male masculinity, how bad it can get. But like I said, Edward Norton's character, who is believing one thing, starts to interact with Marla, who is actually sleeping with Tyler Durden's character. And the way it plays out and the way it's structured, it's really kind of strange why this is happening because she looks at him funny. And you're kind of, now that I've seen the movie like 15,000 times, you really kind of get the points and moments where you start seeing the twist start to happen. It happens actually really early in the movie, but it's really interesting to see how characters don't really react to Tyler Durden, how they don't really react to certain things. Why is this happening? Why is the story being played like this? It's just a really fascinating look at a character who's like literally coming apart at the seams. But like I said, it has a lot of violence in it. It has a lot of language in it, but that's the type of movie it is. It's the type of movie David Fincher is known for. He's known for doing these types of movies where they're taking subjects and kind of going bam in your face like an explosion. And the lead up to the end of this movie where they basically rigged explosives in the high-rise towers of the credit bureau is pretty fantastic because the credit bureau is all messed up even today. So you would almost like want to see that happen, even though I don't want to see that happen. I'm just saying it's like your fantasies of wanting to see that happen. But as we know, there is a twist in this movie that nobody sees coming. Some people are good at figuring out twists. And the twist is there's a reason Edward Norton is looking the way he does throughout the entire movie. There's a reason why everybody's responding to him instead of Tyler Durden. And there's reasons why you're getting pieces and puzzles of the Tyler Durden character. And when you start to look at everything, when you start to look at the moments and things where things are starting to connect with each other, when you go, for instance, when Tyler Durden has disappeared and Edward Norton goes into his room, there's stuff strewn all over the place. There's like booklets and folders. So there's obviously no one's sitting there or sleeping there. No one's been there for a while outside of Edward Norton. And we find out, of course, as Edward Norton goes to these different places to try and catch Tyler Durden's character, he goes to this one bar and he figures out that not only is he crazy, but Tyler Durden isn't even real, which is insane if you think about it, because you're led to believe one thing. You really believe that, Tyler Durden is this chaotic evil, this chaotic menace, but it makes a lot of sense if you really think about it. Edward Norton, like I said, is really repressed, and Tyler Durden, as he says, is what Edward Norton needs to be and wants to be. And this is his way of dealing with situations, dealing with the fact that he has overnight jobs, dealing with this, dealing with that. For instance, my favorite scene is very disturbing, but it's a scene where Edward Norton's character is inside his boss's office, and his boss has kind of got tired of his shtick. He's like realizing that Edward Norton's character is something wrong, and Edward Norton kind of blackmails him. He's like, I'm going to tell everybody about what happens, or you're going to give me 52 weeks worth of paychecks or whatever they give him. And he basically starts fighting himself. He starts beating himself up because the guy who's running the company, or the manager, he's like, get out of my office. And it's such a perfect moment because at some point during that scene, Edward Norton's character, when it freeze frames it, goes, I felt this somewhere before. This seems so familiar. Like my first fight with Tyler Durden. And that should be a dead ringer for the fact that he's not real. Tyler Durden's not real. And I gotta admit, that's pretty clever, like, story writing. So I really like that moment. It's very disturbing, but you really feel the sense of everything coming together, and it's just it's really cool. And this movie, honestly, as a whole, it really starts off at the very beginning of the movie with the Dust Brothers theme of Fight Club. And it's one of the most like energetic and one of the most like in your face like themes of anything I've ever seen, because it's punching you in the face with music and whatever they're using, the Dust Brothers are using to create that mood and tension. And it pulls back and you realize it's actually Edward Norton's head. We pan up on the gun and we see the kind of like the end of the movie at the beginning of the movie, and we learn how everything takes place. But yeah, it's just, that is clever. Like when you can start a film like that and you can kind of hit it in the face of the person watching the movie, you've done right. And it's pure chaotic mess and menace, and it's so good. And David Fincher is just, why he's as good as he is and why he is as meticulous as he is, because he knows how to create this mood and tension, and I love it for that. And I'm gonna leave it at this. I'm gonna leave the review of Fight Club with this. I laughed when I saw Ad Astra, because of course that has Brad Pitt in it. At the very beginning of this movie, when we see Edward Norton for the first time in his like rundown day job or whatever he has, the one he just doesn't care about, and you start to kind of, he starts talking about playing at Starbucks and stuff on the moon, and then we go to Ad Astra and all these things are on the moon. So like commercialism is on the moon, kind of like what Edward Norton's character was talking about, which is fantastic. I thought that was clever. I don't know if that was like a nod or that was just accidental, but it's pretty perfect if you think about it. It's really, really funny. But that's it. That's my take on Fight Club. Happy 20th anniversary once again. That'll do it. If you like what you see, of course, comment below on this movie. Tell me what your favorite part about it is. Tell me if you don't like it. That's fine. Also, comment below on any other videos. Subscribe to my channel. Join Movie Emporium. Hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. And that'll do it. All right, guys. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these 2 videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.